receive nila yung succeeding. Diba? Yung mag-e-erupt na premolars. So, kaya, kung papansin nyo, ang kanilang mga root trunk mas maikli kumpara sa permanent. Okay? Yun yung isang difference din ng deciduous and permanent dentitia or molars. Okay? So, next.
So, proceeding naman po sa ating permanent maxillary second molar. So po siya. But I will show you another a virtual illustration of this.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay po.
Sorry ha, kasi hindi talaga ako makalagin sa LMS. Nangyari na ito sa akin before. Yung attendance nyo, hindi nyo mamamark. Wait, mamaya i-inform ko kayo. Talagang hindi ako makalagin. Refresh ko ulit. Hindi rin ako maka-attendance actually sa HR. Okay, sige. Go ahead.
Okay po. So I'm currently showing you po the skeletal framework. Naglo-load po ba? The skeletal framework showing the permanent dentition of the teeth. What we're going to focus po sa maxillary structures na. Hindi naglo-load. So, Doc, para hindi na lang magtagal, Doc.
Yes. Nag-load kanina.
Opo, hindi nga po nag-load. Okay.
Ayan,
so, sa PowerPoint na lang po.
Okay. Sige, it's okay.
So, this is the illustration po in Wheeler's, Pero I focused more on the illustration given in the appendix. Yan po. Kasi it shows more approximate dimensions compared to the previous one. So that for the permanent maxillary second molar, its length are minimally longer than of the first molar. It has no fiscus, and the crown is approximately 0.5 millimeters or shorter cervico-occlusally than of the first molar, but similar in measurement buccolingually. Mamaya po, there would be an illustration of the length of crown within of both first molar and the second molar, for better understanding po. In the buccal aspect, as we can see here, the crown is minimally shorter, cervico-occlusally, and narrower mesiodistally than the maxillary first molar. The length of the crown and root of primary second molar is greater. So, like po yung sinabi ko kanina, sa primary second molar po yun. But the buccal roots have similar length, and the mesiobuccal root is within a line with the buccal group of crown. Now, from what other reference po, they've mentioned that the maxillary second molar has more equal dimensions when it comes to the buccal roots, with the two buccal roots po, compared to that of the first molar. So, in simple terms, mas equal po yung, like po nakalagay dito. Because for the maxillary first molar po, di ba, like yung mentioned po natin ng previous discussion, it's that the mesiobuccal root is more convex and sometimes thicker. And dito po, it shows a more equal dimensions in the buccal root. Yan. So this
equal
is
dimension.
On the right side. On the right side is the maxillary second molar, and on the left side is the maxillary first molar po. So for you to have an outlook with their difference in the buccal side. And we can also point out here po the distal buccal cusp of the distal buccal cusp of the maxillary second molar is smaller. Kasi po last week no ating discussion sa maxillary first molar, na-mention po ni Doc na the distal buccal cusp rather is sharper and is usually longer in the maxillary first molar, pero in the maxillary second molar is smaller because in the contact areas po, it is because of the contact areas then, because the mesial side of the maxillary second molar contacts with that of the first molar, and the distal side of the maxillary second molar contacts with the third molar. Kaya po mas maliit yung ating
third molar. Usually nga. Usually kasi ang third molar, napakaliliit nila. So, that's why if the second molar has to contact the third molar, so, yeah, mas maliit, mas short yung distobuccal cusp. Okay? So, next.
So, for the lingual aspect, again, this is the illustration po na nasa Wheelers, and these are their dimensions. Since this is the lingual aspect, ang dimensions po na naka-display dito is the mesiodistal diameter of the crown and the mesiodistal diameter of the crown of the cervix. It is 9 millimeters and 7 millimeters on the latter. And for the roots, mas malaki po ang lingual root kaysa the buccal roots by approximately 1 millimeter.
Okay.
So this is 12 millimeters, and for the crown is 7 millimeters. On the right side po, it is showing po yung maxillary first molar. Ito po yung minention ko kanina that the crown is approximately 0.5 millimeters shorter ang maxillary second molar kaysa sa maxillary first molar. This the crown here is 7 millimeters, and the crown for the maxillary first molar is 7.5 millimeters. So in terms of its description in the lingual aspect, so yun nga po, the distal lingual cusp of the crown is smaller. The distal buccal cusp may be seen through the sulcus between the mesiolingual and the distal lingual cusp. So hindi po siya displayed dito, kaya I used again the illustration on the appendix. Yan po. So for number 2, the distal buccal cusp is this right here. Yan, yung lumampas pong yun. It is seen through the sulcus between the mesiolingual and the distal lingual cusp. And the fifth cusp, of course, is not evident in the maxillary second molar since hindi siya existing doon.
Oh, yan yung that is the one of the marked difference, di ba? One of the marked difference natin on maxillary first and second ay yung cusp of Carabelli. So wala talaga siya doon sa second molar. Okay? So next.
Okay, and number 4 po, it's the apex of the lingual root is in line with the distal lingual cusp instead of the lingual groove as was found on the first molar. Ano po ba yung minention na yun? It's this. This is the apex po in the first molar, apex of the lingual root. In line po siya dito sa lingual. Hindi nag-straight. Pero in line po siya dito usually sa lingual groove. Pero in this maxillary second molar, it's more inclined po doon sa cusp.
More on. Yes, and it is more onto the distal most of the time, going to the distal.
That's po.
Okay. Kasi alam nyo, since ang roots ng maxillary second, they are thinner in dimension actually, you know. Pero minsan mas mahaba siya, diba? Sabi mo kanina, mas mahaba siya. And the tendency of having an abnormality like flexion is also more on the maxillary second molar. Okay? So mostly kasi flexion ang nangyayari dyan, no? Doon sa second molar. And they are more inclined going to the distal. Okay, so next.
So for its mesial aspect, the buccolingual dimensions, ito po again yung illustration niya. Pinaltan ko po kasi illustration yung yan. The buccolingual dimensions is similar to that of the first molar but has lesser crown length as mentioned po ulit kanina. So ano po ba yung buccolingual dimensions? Itong 11 millimeters po. Since this is mesial, it is showing the buccolingual diameter. And approximate po, it's both 11 millimeters. And for the buccolingual diameter at cervix, it's both 10 millimeters as well. The roots are spread only within the outline of the buccolingual crown. So yun po yung mention ko kanina in comparison with the primary dentation of the maxillary second molar. Kasi nga po, the buccolingual, the roots are lampas po sila doon sa crown outline, where in this in the primary dentation, just within the crown outline. Also po, since this is the mesial aspect, the curvature po, i-add ko na rin. The curvature in the mesial aspect is usually 1 millimeter or less, 1 millimeter or lesser than that. And in the distal side, minsan po wala siyang curvature sa CEJ, or minsan po nagre-recede pa yung ating gum. So this is the distal aspect. The mesial-buccal cusp is more evident on this aspect, whereas the distal-buccal cusp is evident shown as smaller. Okay, let's call it an illustration. So this is the mesial-buccal cusp.
Okay.
The mesial-buccal cusp. Yan po. It's more evident in more evident than the distal buccal cusp. Kaya po in the distal aspect, kita pa rin siya.
Makikita mo pa rin.
And in the mesial-lingual cusp here, yun po, dun sa beneath that is hidden. Now the apex of the lingual root is in line with the distal lingual cusp, as nakalagay ito po, yung line na yan. This is the apex of the lingual root.
Okay, pantay sila.
Opo, the distal lingual cusp.
Okay. Okay. Next.
Okay, for the occlusal aspect, so I would be reiterating much po on the occlusal aspect of the first molar here. Now, it is commonly rhomboidal in shape, just like of the first molar. But in comparison to it, the acute angles are less, while obtuse angles are greater. So ano po ba yung angles na yun? We're pertaining to the point and the line angles, but it is not that evident here. Mas evident po siya when it is seen in the distal and the mesial, distal, mesial, and lingual and buccal aspect.
It's more on obtuse, right?
Opo. The buccal lingual diameter.
So that means pag sinabi mo maraming obtuse angles, so even the cusp tips, no? Yung mga cusp tips nila, so medyo nagbablunt sila kung less ang obtuse angles. And you can see, sabi mo nga kanina, it's rhomboidal, but it said in your book that the rhomboid outline is more extreme on maxillary second than in maxillary first. No? Mas rhomboid. Mas makikita mo yung rhomboidal shape na yon on the maxillary second.
Actually po ako, when I try to carve sample of the maxillary second molar, ito nga po, medyo square siya. Medyo rhomboidal in shape siya. And in here po, in comparison with its cusp, the buccolingual is equal, like what I've mentioned po kanina, but the mesiodistal diameter is approximately 1 millimeter or less, 1 millimeter lesser. And when it comes to the dimensions po of the cusp, equal po yung mesiobaccal cusp. This is the mesiobaccal cusp. Equal po yung diameter niya. And the mesiolingual cusp as well. But the distal lingual and the distal buccal cusps are smaller because if we're going to analyze it in that sense po, kasi mas malaki nga naman yung crown ng the maxillary first molar. It's because the buccal developmental groove here on the maxillary second molar is more on distal, which results po on a greater dimension for the mesiobuccal cusp. Kaya po equal pa rin yung dimensions of this two and this two.
Okay.
Yun po. And when it comes to and I put a note here that there may be more supplemental and accidental grooves and pits on the occlusal surface of the second molar compared to the first. Just like what is shown here po, mas marami yung mga lines.
Maxillary first.
Mga grooves.
Supplemental grooves, yes.
And also I put in here the common occlusal shape of molars, the heart shape and rhomboidal. Now, the maxillary second molar po can also be a heart shape on its occlusal aspect when it is when the distal lingual cusp is
disappear.
When the distal lingual cusp disappear.
Nagdi-disappear yan, alala nyo?
If we're going to remember po our discussion last time, kasi nga po na-reiterate natin yung Cope-Osborne theory, which is, wala po pala siya sa book. Ang nakalagay lang po sa book is the primary cast triangle lang po yung
primary cast triangle.
Okay. So the primary cast
it's okay,
triangle
that is Cope-Osborne theory.
The mistiobuccal and the mistiolingual cast, as well as the distobuccal cast. And the distolingual cast po is deemed as a disappearing cast, and when it disappears, it could only leave a fifth cast groove, just like what is input in here. Ito po yung distolingual.
May groove lang siya.
And then naging groove na lang
yun
siya. And when
nawala na niya, di ba?
And when and kapag po nawala na yon, it would be a heart shape yung occlusal surface niya.
A heart shape. Di ba nakalagay yan sa inyong book that we do have two outline forms of the occlusal surface. One is the third molar type, which is the heart shape. One is the first molar type, which has a more prominent distolingual cast. Only that it's just smaller than compared to the maxillary first molar. So those are the two types, no? First molar type and the third molar type. Third molar is the heart shape, no? And then the first molar type is a typical form of the second molar, which has a disto or more prominent distolingual cast. Okay? Sige, go ahead.
So last na lang po is the comparison of the occlusal surface nila. Yan po yung image comparison nila. As we can see po in here, mas evident po yung fifth cast, the cast of Carabelli, whereas in the second molar wala po siya, non-existent. And also some grooves and ridges, such as the oblique ridge na wala sa maxillary, na hindi evident sa maxillary.
Walang oblique ridge. Yan. Okay. Yes.
And the maxillary first molar is very prominent. So ito po yung maxillary, yung oblique ridge natin. That part.
Okay.
And as well,
wala na tayong makikita niyan sa, yan. Okay. Wala na sa second molar. Okay? And that, sabi mo nga kanina, maraming supplemental grooves and accidental grooves. Because of the constricted outline of the second molar, it happens na nagkakaroon ng mas maraming supplemental grooves. No? Pag mas makipot, mas dumadami yung supplemental grooves. Okay? So that's it. So medyo madali lang kasi ang description ng second molar, no? Just have to compare it with the first molar. Okay? Yun nga. But the roots, no? Usually kasi mas malaki talaga ang first molar, but in some dimensions on the second molar, like the roots, no? Sumahaba minsan ng konti ang root ng ating maxillary second. Okay, is this the last slide, Mr. Hernandez?
Ito na lang po, yung overall dimensions na. For its eruption, the permanent maxillary second molar erupts by 12 to 13 years old, and the root is completed by 14 to 16 years old and at life. So, yun na po. And we would also like po to reiterate, kasi po if you have a tooth sample, usually po yung second molar natin, hindi nagbabifurcate yung buccal roots niya. It's because nga po yung they are close together, which sometimes leads to failure in furcation.
Furcation. Nagpa-fuse. Minsan nga fuse talaga siya. I have a sample kung kaya lang wala kayo dito. Meron ako niyan eh. Meron talagang fuse. Lahat ng roots naka-fuse. Yun. Because they are formed, lahat na yung roots kasi ng maxillary first, second molar are closer together. Sometimes they fail to furcate or development of furcation area. Okay? So that's it for the second molar. I think nandiyan lahat ng details na kailangan natin as to for comparison or in comparing it sa maxillary first molar. If naiintindihan nyo ang landmark na makikita sa first molar, for sure, no, hindi na kayo malilito on the second molar. You just check on the dimensions, no, the difference on dimensions, and the specific characteristic of each landmark. Okay? Yon. And ang tatandaan nyo lang dyan is the outline form of the crown. Pansing-pansin nyo agad yan. Once na nakita nyo, huwag na kayong magtatanong, is this a first molar? Is this a second molar? Because in the crown outline of the second molar, it's, sabi ko nga kanina, the outline form of the second molar shows an extreme outline, no? Yung kanyang rhomboidal outline is very, very extreme. Okay? And with the root, it's just the same, only the distance or the development of the focal area and the separation of the root of the maxillary second is lesser compared to maxillary first molar. But the grooves, no, other grooves are there also. They're also prominent. Only the supplemental grooves more on the maxillary second molar. Again, yung sinabi ko kanina with the occlusal outline, with the heart shape, no, yung heart shape is a third molar type. Ang tawag natin doon by their second molar, and the other type is the first molar type with a more prominent distal lingual cusp. Okay, so we're done with second molar, maxillary. Who's the next to Mr. Hernandez? Do you have any questions with the second molar? Walang tanong. Okay. So kung walang tanong, hindi ako masyadong magtatanong ngayon. Ano? Gusto ko kasing medyo makatapos tayo. I'll set a quiz next time, no, for these molars. May quiz tayo next meeting sa Wednesday, laboratory time. Quiz para dyan, makaprepare. Hindi ko pa na... Yon, hindi ko pa lang na ayos LMS. Okay?
Doc, that would be about po first to third molar po, or first and second molar?
Yes, first to third molar. The molars. Lahat na na-discuss natin sa molars. Okay? Kaya lang hindi ako maka-access sa LMS. Ano nangyayari? Hindi rin ako maka-attendance. Hindi rin kayo maka-attendance. Ay, my God. Nangyari na ito sa akin last time. Naalala yun. Hindi, oh. Ito pa rin eh. Okay, so who's the next reporter? Mandibular second molar. Madali din lang yan. Okay, go ahead, do your screen sharing.
Wait. Meron na po.
Yes, okay.
Start na po.
Yes, Ineng.
So we will discuss about mandibular second molar. So permanent mandibular second molar is also called hot cross band tooth. We will know it on the latter part of the discussion. Here are the distinct features of second molar, which is 4 well-developed cusps, 2 roots, which is the mesial root is the largest, and mesial buccal cusp as the largest. Its fossa is the hot cross band shape, pronounced buccal curvature. There is no distal cusp and distobuccal groove, and its function is grading.
Okay, so that is the difference, no? Ano yung minention ni Ms. Hernandez regarding the difference? Wala siyang distal cusp. There's no distal cusp on the mandibular second molar. So take note of the yung mga distinct characteristics of no ng molar ng individual 2. So kung wala siyang distal cusp. Okay,
then
next.
For our FDI numbering system, our primary teeth has 8, 5, and 7, 5. Our permanent teeth is 4, 7, and 3, 7. For age of eruption, our first evidence of calcification is 2.5 to 3 years. Enamel completed is 7 to 8 years. Eruption is 11 to 13 years. And root completion is 14 to 15 years. So, for our primary mandibular second molar, it has a characteristics that resemble those of the permanent mandibular first molar. As summary, the mandibular first molar is smaller in size compared to first permanent molar. It has a narrow mesial distal calibration at the cervical portion of the crown than at contact level. Its roots are slender and long. its distal triangular fossa is not as well defined as the mesial triangular fossa. And
Medyo
in
mahina
our
ka, Fernandez.
deciduous teeth, the mandibular second molar is the last tooth in the mouth, and there is no third molar behind it. So we don't have primary third molar.
Okay.
The tooth is located distally from both the mandibular first molar.
Magkamali kayo pag may nag-erupt na molar posterior to the second primary molar, yun ay permanent first molar. Okay? So baka may third molar ang bata. May third molar ang bata. So it's not. Kapag may naging tatlo na ang molar ng bata, ibig sabihin yun ay permanent first molar. Okay? Sige. Go ahead.
There are usually 4 cusps on mandibular second molars, 2 on the buccal side and 2 palatal. So here are the surfaces of permanent mandibular second molar. So for our buccal aspect, you can see that the crown is somewhat shorter,
Bakit parang first molar yung buccal aspect? Bakit merong distal?
Ay, ito pala.
Okay, anyway, just comparison pala, sorry. Sige, go ahead, Inay.
Comparison po. So, as you can see, there are 2 buccal cusps, which is the mesiobuccal and distobuccal cusp, which lies buccally with the buccal developmental groove that acts as a demarcation. Andito po. So, the cervical line buccally in many instances points sharply toward the root of bifurcation. Its roots are shorter than those of the first molar, and the roots are usually closer together and nearly parallel. The roots are inclined distally in relation to the occlusal plane that is found on the first one. Tapos po dito ay
next.
So, here for our lingual aspect, here is our mandibular first and here is the mandibular second. So, as you can see on the lingual cusp in view, the tips of the lingual cusp are higher than the buccal cusp, as you cannot see. As you can see here, but not in here. Then, it has a little of the mesial or distal surfaces may therefore be seen as from this aspect. The mesio-distal calibration at the cervix lingually is always greater than of the first molar. And as you can see, the curvature mesially and distally on the crown in their contact areas are more noticeable from the lingual aspect, and they prove to be at slightly lower level, especially in the distal area than those of the first molar.
Okay, next.
Next is for our mesial aspect. The cervical ridge buccally on the crown is most instances less pronounced as there, and the occlusal may be more constricted buccolingually. The cervical line here shows less curvature, and the mesial root is somewhat pointed apically. If part of the distal root is inside, it is seen buccally. In our model, but can't be seen here in the picture, the 2 roots may be seen from this aspect. In the first molar, when the distal root is inside from the mesial aspect, it is viewed lingually.
Okay.
For
it's just the same with the first molar, no?
Yes po. The same lang po. Ang pagkakaiba lang po ay the absence of distal cusps and distobuccal groove. And the contact
groove, yes.
Groove. And the contact area is larger and centered on the distal surface, buccolingually, and is placed equidistant from cervical line and
equidistant. Alam mo, pareho din halos yun sa first molar, no? Medyo nasa gitna din naman yung contact point on the distal surface on the first molar. Since the distal cusp is positioned at the middle part of the distal surface of the mandibular first molar. The contact point is, sabi mo nga, equidistant buccolingually, no? On the distal surface. Okay? So it's just the same. Kaya hindi na ako masyadong nag-interrupt So kasi yung sasabihin mo ay nasabi na din yan sa first molar. You just need to see, class, you just need to see what are the differences, no, when it comes to landmarks. But almost the same with the second molar. So just look at the root, no? Sabi kanina, it's more parallel. And on the mandibular first, the crown outline or dimension is more on the mandibular first because of the distal cusp. Okay, because of the distal cusp. And ano pa yung sinabi mo kanina na one of the important difference, there's no distobuccal groove because there's no distal cusp to be separated on the distobuccal cusp. Okay, so next.
So for our occlusal aspect, the occlusal aspect of the mandibular second molar differs from the first molar. Firstly is the absence of distal cusp. You can see. So this is the hot cross band tooth that we are saying. And no distal buccal developmental groove is evident occlusally or buccally. Right here. We can see the distal buccal developmental groove in our mandibular second molar. Also, the cusp slopes on the occlusal surface are not as smooth as those found on the first molar. Because of our supplemental grooves. We have supplemental grooves.
Supplemental grooves. No?
From the developmental grooves. Marami po siya kaysa sa first molar. Tsaka ito, there are also characteristics of our mandibular second molar. Many of them are rectangular in shape from the occlusal aspect. We have 4 developed cusps with 2 buccal and 2 lingual. We have 3 occlusal pits. We have the central pit in central fossa, mesial pit in mesial triangular fossa, and a distal pit in distal triangular fossa. So in here, the buccal and the lingual developmental groove meet at the center of the central developmental groove at right angles at yours.
Okay, kasi cross lang. Mapapansin nyo, it's not too complicated na yung occlusal surface ng mandibular second molar. Hindi ganun ka-komplikado when it comes to grooves. The major developmental grooves, no, like the buccal developmental groove, the buccal lingual developmental groove, it looks like a cross, no? So hindi, kaya sabi mo kanina, nagmi-meet sila at right angle, no, to the center of this, on the area of the central fossa area. Okay? So, what else? Meron pa?
Apo. Lastly, here are the summary for the occlusal. What distinguishes it to mandibular first from mandibular second? So, we have 4 cusps in mandibular second molar. For our first molar, we have 5 cusps. Here is the mesiobuccal, distobuccal cusp, mesiolingual, and distolingual cusp. And as in second molar, we have the distal cusp with a zigzag occlusal pattern. Yun lang po.
Yan, nawawala ikaw. Okay. So you're done?
Yes po.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes
okay. Po. So that's it for, medyo mahina yung dating ni Ms. Hernandez. Anyway, naintindihan nyo naman yung mga slides. So just let her to continue because just to show her slides, no? Although medyo choppy si Ms. Hernandez. But it's okay. Sabi ko nga kanina, landmarks are just, they just differ on the landmarks. So there's no distobuccal groove, yung nabanggit natin kanina, no? No distobuccal groove to separate the cusp, no? Kasi wala nga siyang distal cusp. Okay? Still that the buccal developmental groove is more prominent. Buccal developmental groove is more prominent on the mandibular molars. And they end on the middle third area. And there is also nagde-develop din siya kapag yung terminal point, yung terminal point ng ating buccal developmental groove, nag-i-end siya in a buccal peak. Nabanggit ko yan ba sa inyo before? So, sa first molar, mandibular first molar. Sino ang nakaalala? O baka hindi ko nabanggit. Ha? Yung buccal developmental groove, they end in a pit. No? So, ang tawag natin sa kanya ay buccal pit. Okay? Yun. Nasa middle third area, yan ang crown. Okay? Sa terminal end ng inyong buccal developmental groove, nagde-develop yung buccal pit. Okay. Sige. Do you have any questions with the mandibular second? Wala. Sabi ko nga, hindi ganun ka-komplikado. It's more on a squarey form because there's no distal cusp. Okay? Kasi ang mandibular first molar, kung mapapansin nyo, ay more on rectangular form. Diba? Because mayroon siyang extension on the distal surface, which is the distal cusp. But since there's no distal cusp on the mandibular second molar, it appears like a square, yung outline form. Okay? So, no questions? Are we done with the second molar? Okay ba? At bakit di niyo ba ako naririnig?
No questions.
Hello? Okay na. Okay. So, if you're done with the second molar, diretso na tayo sa third molar para tayo matapos na sa molars. Okay, madali na ang third molar. Napakadali ng third molar. Sabi nga lang sa inyong libro, no, kung binasa niyo ang libro, third molar appears, it appears like a tooth anomaly only. No, para siyang tooth anomaly. Okay? Sige. So, who will be the reporter for the third molar para ma-continue na natin?
Ako po, Doc.
Para na ako nakalag-in. Hindi kayo makaka-trans. Hindi ako makalag-in eh.
Kita na po ba?
Yes. Medyo laksan lang ha. Okay. Hindi ko alam, baka ako mahina.
Good morning. I will be reporting about the maxillary third molar. Just a little overview of the maxillary molars. They differ in design from any of the
Lalaksan
other
niyo
teeth.
ng konti. May microphone ka ba, Miss? Ano?
Wala pa. Sandali lang po. A little overview of the maxillary molars. They differ in design from many of the other teeth. They assist the mandibular molars in performing the later portion of the mastication and comminution of the food.
Oh,
Third
nga,
molars.
parang grounded daw yung sound. Okay. So, wait lang ha. Hindi ko alam kung saan yun. Problema. Para daw grounded sound, sabi ni Malik. Okay. Kanina namang umpisa, okay tayo, no? Okay, tingnan ko nga ulit, Neng. Okay. Wait lang, ha?
Pakinig na po ba?
Miss Herrera po ata yung ground.
Oo. Tingnan ko baka sa akin o ano. Try, tingnan ko lang. Bakit kaya ganon?
Okay na po ba, Doc?
Oo, pero parang may umuugong kasi.
Sorry
Yan.
po, baka po.
Bukan mo nga, Ining.
Okay na po ba?
Sige, laksan mo nga ang boses mo.
Sige po. The third
Oo,
molars.
parang may problem tayo sa connection.
Sa connection ko po ata yan. Medyo mahina po kasi dito ang signal.
Sa iyo mahina o sa parang medyo rin. Try ko humanap ng location na mas okay siguro. Wait lang.
Oh, sige po.
Try ko lang. Malay ko sa akin. Oo. Baka mawala ako ng konti. Wait lang, ha? Kahit ako, hindi ako maka-access sa LMS. Problema ko talaga. Hindi ako maka-attendance eh. Try ko dun sa kabila. Oo eh. Dali lang. Isin ko muna ang aking Okay, try na ulit natin.
Okay na po ba?
Go ahead. Miss Herrera, same. Sa'yo ang may problema, Neng. Malakas na siguro dito sa aking lugar.
All third molars, mandibular and maxillary, show more variation in development than any of the other teeth in the mouth. Occasionally, they appear as anomalies bearing little or no resemblance to their neighboring. For the maxillary third molar, they can vary considerably in size, contour, and relative position to the other teeth. In describing the normal maxillary third molar, the direct comparison is often made with the maxillary second molar. As seen here, it is seldom as well developed as the maxillary second molar. And the third molar supplements the second molar in function, and its fundamental design is very similar, although the crown is smaller and the roots are shorter as a rule. In the buccal aspect, as you can see here, the crown of molar is shorter cervico-occlusally and narrower mesodistally than the second molar. The roots are usually fused, functioning as one large root, as you can see.
Sa'yo yata may problem talaga.
Sa akin nga po siguro. Sorry po.
Sige.
As you can see here, the fused roots end in a taper at the apex. And the roots have a distinct slant to the distal, giving the apices of the fused root a more distal relation to the center of the crown. In the lingual aspect,
so we'll just show your slides, no? Medyo mahirap, no? Hindi namin marinig, diba? Okay. Just check on the slides for the third molars. Okay. So I'll just give you, go ahead, Neng, kaya pa ba?
Opo. As you can see here, only one large
parang may umuugong kasi.
Baka po sa laptop ko yun. Only one large lingual cusp is present.
Hindi namin alam.
And therefore, no lingual groove is evident. In many cases, a third molar with the same essential features has a fully developed distal lingual cusp with a developmental groove lingually.
Oo. Next.
In the mesial aspect, the main feature of the taper to the fused roots and a bifurcation, usually in the region of the apical third. The root portion is shorter in relation to the crown length. Both the crown and root portions tend to be poorly developed with irregular outlines. Can you just see? And in the distal aspect, most of the buccal surface of the crown is in view. More of the occlusal surface may be seen than on the second molar from this aspect because of the more acute angulation of the occlusal surface in relation to the long axis of the root.
can see the occlusal surface better in here. And the measurement of the cervical line to the marginal ridge is short.
Okay. Next.
And in the occlusal aspect, this aspect of a typical maxillary third molar presents a heart-shaped outline. The lingual cusp is large and well developed, and little or no distal lingual cusp is evident, which gives a semicircular outline to the tooth from one contact area to the other. And this aspect usually presents many supplemental grooves, many accidental grooves unless the tooth is very much worn. Just a little fact about po ng third molar. Third molar is not present in the decidus teeth and only in the permanent teeth. Yan lang po. Thank you.
Third molar sa decidus teeth. Okay, that's the last. Okay, that's the last slide. Medyo umugong-ugong. No? Pakinggan mo ngayon ng ayos. Okay na ba?
Okay na po.
Hello? Hello?
Okay na po, Doc.
O baka akong mahina to na. Yan, okay na, di ba? Okay. For ako yung narinig sa mga medyo madilim dito sa lugar ni Doc Baby. Pasensya na kayo. Okay, humanap ng signal. Parang mas okay dito. Pero okay naman pala din doon. Siguro kay Miss Herrera nga lang talaga may problem. Okay. So with the third molar, with the third molar, all the landmarks in a normal scenario, in a normal tooth of the third molar. So it's just the same with the first molar. Okay? It has four cusps, four major cusps. Pero, sabi nga natin, lots of variations comes in third molar. So most of the time, since the second molar, nagdi-disappear na yung distal lingual cusp, how much more on the third molar. So minsan wala na tayong makikitang distal lingual cusp. Sabi nga ni Ms. Herrera kanina, it appears like a large lingual cusp on the lingual surface of the maxillary first molar. Okay, there are lots of supplementary groups, and most of the time, the occlusal surface is heart-shaped already. Okay, so heart-shaped, and may mga cases na naka-fuse na talaga ang roots nila, and usually talagang fused ang roots ng maxillary third molar. Okay, so minsan ang maganda sa third molar, sa maxillary third molar, ang kaibahan niya kasi sa lower, it is positioned in the dental arch na mas thin yung kanyang bone support. Alam niyo kahit yan ay third molar, di ba naalala na ano niyo, mahirap bunutin kasi third molar. Yun ang malimit ninyong naririnig, ba? Kapag bang bait ay mahirap bunutin. But in the case of the maxillary third molar, it is positioned in the dental arch with a very thin bone support doon sa most posterior part ng ating maxillary arch. So, yun yung isang difference niya. But when it comes to anatomy, okay, when it comes to anatomy, hindi natin masigurado ang tsura talaga, the morphology of the maxillary third molar. But of course, our basis for the landmarks is the maxillary first and the maxillary second molar. Yun pa din. Okay? So I will not add much on that on the maxillary third molar kasi konti lang talaga yung description. Mamaya, pag na-discuss yung mandibular third molar, so meron lang akong i-add regarding some conditions, no? Oral conditions na pwedeng mag-occur if the third molar is not erupted properly. Kasi yung third molar, that is the most common tool that na hindi erupt dental arch. And take note, class, that the third molars, they are considered non-functional teeth, no? They are considered non-functional teeth. So kapag ka function yung ating or during trituration or food trituration or during chewing, so hindi masyadong nagko-contact ang ating mga third molars. So that's why they are considered non-functional teeth. And usually they sila yung hindi erupt, no? May mga cases na hindi erupt. If the bone on the posterior part of the arch is not so thick, no? If the bone on the posterior part of the maxillary and mandibular arch is not sufficient, the third molar will not erupt and will be marked as unerupted. Okay? Have you heard of odontectomy? Sinong nakarinig na ng odontectomy?
Ako po, Doc.
Okay. Sinong naka-experience na ng odontectomy?
Ako rin po.
Sinong nagpa-ortho? Sinong tinanggalan ng third molars? That is odontectomy. That is a procedure, a surgical intervention done partially erupted. Okay? So kapag partially erupted ang ating third molar, there is a condition that is one of the clinical implication of a partially erupted third molar. Is namamaga yung, have you experienced that? Na yung may konting naka-erupt lang sa third molar, and you see the gingival portion, no? The gingiva that protects the area or the tooth, or the neck of the tooth, nagkakaroon ng accumulation of food debris. Nagko-collect siya ng food debris. Okay? So the tendency, if the food debris is collected on the gingival sulcus area, diba? Nakita nyo yan doon sa parts, doon sa anatomy natin ng part of the tooth. Makita nyo yung gingival sulcus. Nakita nyo ba yan dati? Natatandaan nyo? Tandaan nyo pa. Sinong nakatanda ng gingival sulcus? Wala?
Meron.
Okay, natatandaan ng gingival sulcus. Okay, so yung gingival sulcus na yan, no? Kapag partially erupted yung third molar, it will collect, no? It will collect food debris, and the tendency, there will be irritation, gingival tissue. Kapag na-irritate siya, magkakaroon tayo ng inflammation. Nag-i-inflame yung gingiva. And we call that as not gingivitis. We don't call that as gingivitis. We call that as operculitis. Operculitis. Okay? Search on operculitis. Because the gingiva that covers the partially erupted third molar, we call that as operculum. Okay? The gingival portion that covers the partially erupted third molar, ang tawag natin ay? Ano ang tawag natin?
Tuberculum.
Operculum. Okay? And the inflammation of the operculum, we call that as?
Operculitis.
Operculitis. Okay? So that is what the clinical implication of having a partially erupted third molar. Okay. So what is the clinical implication naman ng unerupted? Ano nga sabi ko kanina? Kapag unerupted, anong ginagawa sa inyo kapag unerupted ang third molar? Odontectomy. Diba? Removal of the tooth. Okay? But of course, if you remove a tooth with operculum, ang tawag pa rin sa kanya ay odontectomy pa din. Ang pagtatanggal ng unerupted or partially erupted third molar are still odontectomy. It's just this. Okay? Meron namang tinatanggal lamang ang operculum. Kapag tinanggal ang operculum, dahil merong operculitis, ang tawag natin ay operculectomy. Okay? Tandaan nyo yung tatlong terms? Operculum, operculitis, removal is operculectomy. That is a surgical intervention. Okay. So that is the clinical implication. I will not discuss much of the anatomy because it's just the same. Landmarks is just the same. You just need to see the specific characteristic, kung ano yung pagkakaiba niya. Okay? So next. Do you have any questions? With the maxillary third, wala na. Okay, kung wala na, let's continue on mandibular third molar. This is the last report for today. Okay, next. Third molar. Pwede na? Okay, si Miss Makasait, third molar, mandibular third molar. Okay, go ahead, Ineng. Hello? Miss Makasait, nandiyan ka na ba? Hindi kita Ineng naririnig.
Sorry po.
Yan. Okay, kala ko naglaho ka na. Okay, go ahead na. Para matapos
good
na
day.
tayo.
Good day to all of you. I am Stephanie Marie Makasait, and I will discuss the mandibular third molar. The third molar is also known as the wisdom tooth, as it is said to erupt only when a person is old enough to have wisdom about life. In the FBI system, the mandibular third molar is the tooth number 38 or 48. It is the posterior most tooth in the mandibular arch, and thus it normally does not have any tooth that contacts it distally. First evidence of calcification occurs at age 8 to 10, enamel completion at age 12 to 16. Eruption usually occurs at around 17 to 21 years old, and the root completion at 18 to 25 years old. The mandibular third molar supplements the second molar in function as grinding. The design of the mandibular third molar usually conforms with the general plan of all mandibular molars. In terms of number of cusps and occlusal design, it is comparable with the mandibular second molar, as both teeth have 4 cusps. However, in instances where the mandibular third molar has 5 or more cusps, the crown portion becomes larger, and it is highly likely that this tooth would be impacted or would have abnormal alignment and occlusion with the other teeth. It is important to note that the mandibular third molar has considerable variation, and they present anomalies in both form and in position most often as compared to the other tooth in the dental arch. It is said that this tooth is seldom well developed, and the average mandibular third molar shows irregular development of the crown portion with undersized roots, and which are more or less malformed. Some of the variation that the mandibular third molar often present is being protostylid, which means having the presence of an extra tubercle or cusp on the mesobuccal cusp, and having multiple accessory ridges. Other than this, the mandibular third molar are also the teeth that are most commonly impacted, even when compared to its maxillary counterpart. An impacted tooth is a tooth that is prevented from erupting into its normal functional position by structures such as bone, neighboring tooth, or fibrous tissue. The most common cause of mandibular third molar impaction is the inadequate space along the alveolar process of the mandible due to the great size of the mandibular third molars, especially in samples that have more than 4 cusps.
Okay, so yun yung sinasabi ko kanina, Ms. Makasait. Yun yung sinasabi ko kanina, that if there's no insufficient bone on the posterior side of your maxillary and mandibular arch, so there will be impaction. Okay? Yung sufficient amount of alveolar bone. Yung sinasabi mo. Okay? Next.
So, unlike the maxillary third molar, it is more common to find samples of mandibular third molar that are larger than normal, especially in terms of the crowns. And as I have mentioned earlier, this would most likely cause partial or whole impaction of the tooth. Roots of this oversized third molars may be short and poorly developed. So the partial eruption of mandibular third molar may result in periodontal defects on the distal aspects of the second molars, and in some instances, the resorption of the distal root surfaces occurs due to the osteoclast activity. It is for this reason that patients with impacted third molars are advised to have it surgically removed. So in some people, the third molar is congenitally absent from one side of the mandible or maxilla. And in these situations, it is most likely absent from the other side as well to achieve a balance along the dental arch. However, the agenesis of a mandibular third molar is not associated with its maxillary counterpart. During restorations, it is also noteworthy to mention that the depth of enamel on the occlusal surface of the mandibular third molar is greater than that of the first or second molar. So, ito po yung picture ng sinasabi ko po kanina na protostylid. Ito. Then, ito po
Kita mo ba yan? Hindi yan this one, ibalik mo ining doon sa una, doon sa sinundan na picture. Okay. You see the third molar, but there's another molar. The other one the natural tooth, not the X-ray. Yan. Can you see a tooth beside that third molar?
Yes po.
Nakikita nyo yan, no? That is one of the sample. Okay, that is a tooth. That is an abnormality. It's not attached on the third molar, just to clarify. It's not attached. It's more common on the maxillary, not on the mandibular. But in this case, it's the mandibular. We call that as paramolar. Paramolar. That is an abnormality called as paramolar. There's nagkaroon ng isang ngipin, no, which is a small molar on the posterior part, and it's more common nga sa maxillary kaysa sa mandibular. Pero dito sa mandibular. Hindi yan, kina-clarify ko lang. Makakala nyo extension niya ng third molar. Okay, but kasi ang third molar, usually mas maraming cusp, mas maraming, sabi nga ni Ms. Makasait, minsan may mga tubercle pa dyan. Very irregular ang occlusal outline. And it's larger, no? Because of having a large crown. And sabi mo nga kanina, even the root is undersized, but the crown is larger. Okay, so next.
So ito naman po yung radiographic image ng impacted mandibular third molar.
Yes, okay.
So,
That's what happened. That is one of the clinical implications of having a impacted third molar. So if the third molar is mesioangular, kita nyo ba kung saan naka-inclined? Ang tawag natin dyan is mesioangular inclination of the third molar. The tendency is to have a close contact on the second molar, and that will result to destruction, no, of the second molar. That is one of the clinical implication. So kanina may sinabi na akong clinical implication ng third molar or impacted third molar. One is operculum or operculitis, right? Operculitis. And this is another one is destruction of the second molar. So yan yung clinical implication niya. Yan yung effect, no? O results of having impactions. Okay? So next.
So let us now proceed into discussing the detailed description of the mandibular third molar from its 5 aspects. Generally, the forecast type of mandibular third molar would be described in this section as it is the type of third molar which is more likely to be in fair alignment and in good occlusion with the other teeth in the dental arch. First is the buccal aspect. Mandibular third molar is very considerably in outline, but despite this, the outline form of this aspect conforms to the general outline of all mandibular molars. In this aspect, the shape of the crown is roughly ovoid. It could also be observed that the contact areas, mesially and distally, located around the middle third, have a wider mesiodistal length compared to the cervix. The two buccal cusps could be seen from this aspect, the mesiobuccal cusp and the distobuccal cusp. The two cusps are short and rounded. The mesiobuccal cusp is slightly larger, but almost the same size as the distobuccal cusp. The two buccal cusps are separated from each other by the buccal developmental groove.
Yes, it's
As
just
mentioned,
the same.
The crest of curvature or the contact areas mesially and distally is located more than half the distance from its cervical line to the tip of the cusp, or simply slightly above the middle third. The cervical line is slightly curved near the bifurcation area. Along with this, two roots could also be seen from this aspect, the mesial root and the distal root. However, these roots may be separated by a definite point of bifurcation, or they may be fused all or part of their length. Compared to the roots of the first and second mandibular molars, the roots of this tooth are shorter and have poor development. Distal inclination of the roots of the third molar in relation to its occlusal plane is also greater. This simply means that the roots are more bent towards the distal. In the picture, it can be seen that the mesial root is inclined towards the distal.
Okay.
So here are 10 specimens of a typical mandibular third molar. So as you can see, these samples exhibit a short and rounded cusp. Some have fused roots, such as the first, 5th, 7th, and 10th samples, and some are bifurcated. As for the lingual aspects, observation from this view adds little to those already made from the buccal aspect. However, the mesiodistal dimension in the lingual aspect is less than the buccal aspect. The mandibular third molar, when well developed, corresponds closely in form to the second molar, except for size and root development. In addition to this, the shape of the crown of this aspect is trapezoidal. It could also be observed that the cervical line in this aspect is straight. Similar to the buccal aspect, two cusps could also be seen from this aspect, and these are the mesial-lingual cusp and the distal-lingual cusp. In this view, it could be observed that the mesial-lingual cusp is slightly larger than the distal-lingual cusp. A short lingual developmental groove also runs between the two lingual cusps, but it is not as noticeable as the buccal developmental groove on the buccal aspect of this tooth.
Okay.
In the mesial aspect, this tooth resembles the mandibular second molar except in dimension. In this aspect, the crown appears rhomboidal. The buccal outline of the crown appears more convex than the distal outline, and no part of the occlusal surface is visible. The cervical line is almost straight with a 1 millimeter depth of curvature towards the occlusal surface. The roots are shorter with the mesial root tapering more from the cervix to the apex, and the apex of the mesial root is usually more pointed. Part of the buccal outline of the distal root could also be seen when viewed from this aspect.
Okay, so next.
So here are the 10 typical specimens of mandibular third molar when viewed from the mesial aspect. Here it could be observed that the mesial root tapers from the cervical line to its apex, and that the apex is generally pointed in most cases.
So medyo pointed. Alam niyo yan ang delikado din, ano, sa third molar because they do have, they turn to have a pointed apex. And then when you extract, since the root, kahit yan ay maliliit yung root, no? The apical portion is usually constricted, and the tendency of fracture during the removal of the tooth is high, no? Usually kasi nagkaka-fracture. So that's why when you are removing a third molar, no, we consider sectioning of the tooth. Hinati-hati natin yung ngipin, no, kapag tinatanggal natin ang third molar because of different configuration or different directions of the root, no? Minsan kung saan sila, aside from that, yung having a very constricted outline on the apical portion of the root. Okay, we do sectioning of the tooth. No, maintindihan nyo rin naman yan sa surgery. Okay, so next.
So in the distal aspect, much like the previously discussed aspects, the anatomical appearance of the distal portion of this root is very much like the second molar except for its size. In this aspect, we could observe that the crown is rhomboidal and all cusps are visible due to the short distal marginal ridge. Similarly, part of the occlusal surface is also visible. For specimens that have oversized crown portions, they appear to be more spheroidal above the cervical line in this aspect. The distal root also appears to be small in both in length and in buccolingual measurement compared to the large crown portion. As can be seen here, the outlines of the mesial root could still be observed in this aspect due to the small size of the distal root.
Okay.
So lastly, for the occlusal aspect, it's very similar to the second molar. For a four-cusp type of mandibular third molar, the shape and outline of the crown is roughly oval. The mesial cusps are generally larger than the distal cusp. The groove pattern for the mandibular third molar is a cross type with the buccal developmental groove, the lingual developmental groove, and the central developmental groove converging on the center to form a central pit. In addition to this, the occlusal surface has a very wrinkled appearance because of the presence of supplemental grooves and occlusal pits. As can be observed in the figure on the side, there are plenty supplemental grooves which radiates from the developmental grooves. There is also a tendency for the mandibular third molar to have a more rounded outline and a smaller buccolingual measurement distally.
Okay. Yeah.
So here are the 10 typical specimens of the mandibular third molar when viewed from their occlusal aspect. As can be seen, the general groove pattern appears to be a cross type, and it could also be seen that there are many supplemental grooves that creates a wrinkled appearance, most notably on the 10th sample. Okay. Also, it can be seen the first one is a 5-cusp type and is comparably larger than most of the other samples with only 4 cusps.
Okay.
So the defining characteristics of mandibular third molars that I have mentioned earlier, they are smaller compared to other mandibular molars. Cusps are generally shorter and rounder. The depth of enamel on the occlusal surface is greater than other mandibular molars, and their roots are most often fused.
Okay.
So that is all. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Madali naman yung third molar. Okay. So, for the mandibular third molar, so as minention na naman niya lahat na dapat yung malaman on the third molar, I just want to clarify on being the third molar as non-functional teeth. No, it's some other books said a non-functional teeth, but if the mandibular molar or mandibular third molars are vertically erupted and maganda yung eruption and there is a contact, it is considered functional. But most of the time, it's non-functional because normally naman talagang hindi nagko-contact ang ating last molar. Now, when we bite, if you try to see in the mirror, no, there's a separation, no, merong separation on the most posterior part dun sa occlusion natin. So that's why it's called non-functional, yung third molar. So lalo na, no, another clinical implication, if the tooth is mesioangular, no, so hindi talaga siya vertically erupted, then there will be no occlusion, and then it is non-functional still. Kahit siya erupted, but it is mesioangular, so hindi maganda yung cusp-to-fossa relationship, there will be no occlusion. Okay? But actually, in a normal occlusion natin, molars and the most posterior part, again, it is separated. So they are considered non-functional teeth. Kaya nga sabi natin, ba't ba nag-erupt pa yung third molar na yan? O hindi ba ako magkakabait pag walang third molar? But it stimulates bone growth on that part. So that's why erupt pa rin ang ating third molar. But if the bone growth or the arch size is not sufficient, then the result will be impaction. Okay? So that is mandibular. And for the mandibular, sabi nga ni Ms. Makasait kanina, if you can see the occlusal surface, it's just the same with the mandibular first and the second, but you can see some more irregular forms of the landmarks that you can see on the occlusal surface. Marami siyang supplemental, no? I just want to correct the supplemental grooves. Supplemental grooves can be radiated from the central developmental groove. They can be radiated from there. Accidental grooves are those unattached, but in some other books, supplemental grooves are also defined as unattached grooves. Okay, anyway, those are just supplemental grooves. Okay, so minsan kasi nagko-comment ako that most of the time, yung mga supplemental grooves ay talagang galing doon sa central groove because iba-iba kasi ang libro eh. Ang supplemental grooves, they are defined as unattached. Accidental grooves are defined as unattached. So, hindi lang. So, basta sila ay minor grooves that we need to consider when we do dental restorations, when we do other dental procedures, that we need to consider the presence of those grooves. Okay? So, pag mas maraming grooves, anong mangyayari? Anong ang sinasabi pag maraming grooves? Mas? Anyone? Mas? May kausap pa ba ako?
Mas prone kang masira, magkakalis.
Ha? Pag mas maraming grooves, mas mabilis masira because of the lodgement of the food debris or food debris, not debris, food debris on those grooves, no? Pag mas maraming na-retain na food particles on those grooves, so mas more or mas susceptible siya sa dental caries. Okay? More grooves, the more susceptible the tooth is in the dental caries. Naintindihan? Okay. So, do you have any questions with the third molars? Wala? Okay. So, yung ayaw magtanong, ay di saka na tayo magtanong dahil magkuquiz tayo next time. Hanggang ngayon nga pala, hindi ako maka-access sa LMS. I'm still trying, ha? Kasi hindi kayo makaka-attendance kung hindi ako maka-access sa LMS. No? Ganon na nangyayari. Hindi talaga. Okay. Anyway, I'll try until 12 o'clock. Okay. Wala nang tanong. So by next week, we will be having a meeting again sa lecture time. So we start on the pulp cavity of the tooth. Okay? Pulp cavities, medyo mahaba yata yung pulp cavities. So, pero I will try to continue on the, ano yung sunod doon? Pulp cavities, then parang blood supply yung sunod doon. Okay? So yun ang isusunod natin. Mag-prepare yung dalawang yun na reports. Anyway, nire-remind ko naman kayo. Ngayon lang hindi ako masipag mag-remind at ako ang daming ginawa sa akin. Ako yung masyadong naging busy nitong panahong bagyo. Hindi naman kayo binagyo. Okay. Questions? Binagyo din. Nasira ba ang mga bubong? Kapitbahay na yun, lahat nasira mga bubong. Sa amin naman, gumuho ang aming harapan. Yun, papagawa pa.